off a GT big win at the 24 Hours of Daytona. And the great thing about this racing series, and especially in the GT classes, we're racing against the same cars pretty much that we're competing with in the showroom as production cars. And Corvette is clearly number one in the luxury sports car segment. We had nearly 40% share last year, thanks to all of you, so thank you. And and now that we've basically launched all the planned, C7, 7th generation models, now that we have the, of course, the Stingray coupe and convertible, Z06 coupe and convertible. Now we have the 8-speed paddle shift automatic Z06 is out. And I want to talk a little about the Z06 has come a long way from, people who know their Corvette history. How many people know when the first Z06?
63.
I don't have to tell you guys anything. So remember, 1963, Z06 was kind of a special package. If you wanted to, Zora might tell you here, this is the secret RPO code if you want to take your Corvette to the track, big tank, better brakes, things like that. It was a 1 year, only 199 were made. And as far as we know, there's only one convertible of those, so we haven't had a convertible since then. And then in the 5th generation car, we came out with a hardtop model. And actually, we didn't know how the sports car market was going to be back then, so we came up with this hardtop model. It was supposed to be a little bit less expensive, but the 5th generation car was such a big success. We said, well, here we have this car. It's a little bit lighter. It has a little bit, it's a fixed roof, better structure. Let's make this into a purist, high-performance Z06 model for the 5th generation car. And it was very focused, less insulation in the car. You couldn't get all the options, manual seats. In the beginning, it didn't even have the HUD at first. But 6th generation car, we said, from the beginning, the Z06 was such a success, we went right in. And that car had a specific aluminum frame, carbon fiber panels, industrial brake system. That was for the first time that we went in knowing we were going to do a Z06. But what we kept hearing from everybody, again, it was in the beginning when it first came out, you couldn't get OnStar or XM, again, it's manual seats, things like that. And we kept hearing, why can't I get this? Why can't I get that? Why does the standard car have this and I can't have that? And of course, there's the purists that want it as lightweight as possible, but there's a lot of people like, let me get the options I want to get. And over the life cycle, 6th generation life cycle, so we started adding things in. Of course, you get navigation, you get power seats, leather wrapped interior, and all these options always did the best on the Z06. So when beginning of the 7th generation program, we really had a focus on this Z06 model. We wanted to keep the car, of course it has to be faster, it has to be true to its mission, and everything like that, but we wanted to stop having to say no, why can't I have this, why can't I have that? So that's why we now have a coupe with a removable carbon fiber roof panel. We have a full convertible with a power top that can use up to 30 miles an hour. And you can get the manual, you can get the new 8-speed paddle shift that's out. And so far, the reaction has been pretty good. We were just talking about 40% of the new Corvettes being built right now are Z06s, believe it or not. And 40% of those have what we call the Z07 package, which is the ceramic brakes and the cup tires, kind of the maximum performance. So we're really happy with how well everything is going. And the performance, it's like, what did you do? Did you compromise performance? No, this is the fastest Corvette ever. Under 3 seconds, 0 to 60. Can do 1.2 Gs, quarter mile under 11 seconds. And you can even stop with the ceramic brakes 60 miles an hour under 100 feet. And actually, when some of the magazines were testing it, they actually put in their notes they had to recalibrate their equipment because they thought it was an error. They hadn't seen a car that could brake like that. And actually, even at 30 miles an hour, you basically stop in one car length. So if you're in the subdivision and you see some kid chasing the ball, make sure you look in your rearview mirror before you slam on the brakes if somebody's right behind you, because you can stop so much faster than probably the car behind you. So all the magazine tests have been pretty much very positive. There's just the Car and Driver just came out. We placed first ahead of a Porsche Turbo and a Nissan GTR. And the media response, even Top Gear, if you watch the British Top Gear show, they haven't always been our biggest fans, and they basically love the car. So so all the media response has been good, the sales response has been good. Also, performance data recorder, an exclusive feature for Corvette. that's come out. You can record your own epic drives. We just used it today on the, yesterday I mean, on the parade lap. We're trying it out, but it's really a great system. It records video, it records your speed, your G-forces, all your accelerator, brake, and it's really a great system to become a better driver. If you're going to a track day, it's something you can watch it and learn and compare your laps to other people's. There's actually even a Cosworth Toolbox program that you can download at Chevrolet.com or Cosworth.com that you can load in your laps and compare to your own best and others, and it really makes it so that the Corvette driver now has, it's like having your own virtual race engineer that you can develop. And then even you're like, well, I'm not really going to take my car on the track. Well, if you're ever stuck in a situation where you have to valet the car, I know most of us would never do that, but talk to people, big cities, you know, New York, LA, Miami, certain restaurants, you're kind of stuck doing that, where you can put it in the valet mode and you have a record of what the car was doing when you're not around. And make sure you tell them first, so that's before it's after the fact. But we're starting to see, you know, media coverage and the news are covering, you know, people have caught people doing things they wish they hadn't on their car. So that's been interesting to see the reaction there. So I introduce Eric is one of our bright young engineers, and like Jake said, he's worked an expert on the structure. He's actually worked both in Bowling Green and in the Tech Center. So why don't you tell him a little bit about what you've been working on?
Yeah, so I've been working on the Corvette program for about 4 years now, just under. I came on at the beginning during the development of the structure. I primarily worked on aluminum parts. We have castings, extrusions. It's a carryover frame, Stingray and Z06 now. Full aluminum on all cars. And then after that, I went to assignment at Bowling Green where I worked for about 19 months. I went in, I got kind of thrown into the initial project about a month before the start of production on the 14 Coupe. And I followed through the 14 Coupe, convertible, and the 215 cars out, including last month the 8-speed automatic and the Z06, which was the last program that I launched there. Now I've repatriated back to Michigan and I'm working. I can answer questions on the structure, a lot of the plant processes that we've set up. It was pretty impressive, like Harlan said, we had the full book plan for the whole launch. So there was a table of engineers that were supposed to come down for each build event. The 14 engineers came down for their coupes, the 15 came down, 15 chassis engineers to watch the Z06 get built, the initial cars. And I was there for some of the exciting events. I saw Hendrick pick up his cars. So that's kind of what I've been working on.
The $1 million cars.
The $1 million, each of them, 4 of them. Yeah. And that's what I've worked on for the last 4 years. I've been to a couple of these events. I recognize a lot of the faces. And I'm kind of stepping up to help Harlan a little here. So, any questions about structure, panels, some of the plant processes? Again, I know quite a bit about just from observing, even though I am a Michigan employee.
Yeah, looking at my friend's new 2015 Stingray, I noticed quite a bit, and it's torch red, quite a bit of what I call orange peel in the paint. Is that a common problem, or what are you doing about it to fix that? I mean, I thought that was a problem from years ago and had been cured.
Well, the exterior of the car has been a composite exterior for a long time. Typically, when we paint exterior panels, we have to think about a lot of other things, such as blowouts and controlling the surface undulations, not orange peel, but other shapes. So when you have to focus on all those parameters, sometimes the paint ends up looking a little different panel to panel. So we end up doing a lot of sorting, a lot of panel matching. And we developed, starting in 13, at the end of the 13 car, we worked a lot on surface treatments at our supplier for the panels. And we really have improved it a little bit. Some people do say they see things like that, especially in the brighter colors, in the right light. But it is part of a composite panel in the end. It'll never be a metal finished panel. That's part of our lightweight strategy, and it's been the Corvette history to have a composite panel.
Yeah, one thing I was going to mention, I've been getting a lot of questions about other aerodynamic packages on the Z06. And there actually is 3 different types of aerodynamic packages on the Z06. The standard Z06 comes with, it has a unique spoiler, and it has a molded front splitter. And actually, one of the things that helps, working so closely with racing is they really wanted us to focus on downforce and getting rid of lift. That was the one way to help the race car the most. We put that in the street car. So the standard Z06 actually has basically very balanced between lift and downforce. and actually is better in that respect than even the previous ZR1. Then we have what we call the carbon fiber ground effects package, or the RPO is CFZ. And that's what you see on the cars where you have the rockers, and it has the carbon fiber splitter and rockers, and it has a larger spoiler. And that really, that's available on all the Z06s, and that basically, as an option, that gets you down to where at 150 miles an hour, you have about 180 pounds of downforce, which is really, for a street car, is really incredible. And on the Z07 option, it takes that, and as an extra, you actually get both configurations. You can have the one I just described, or it has extra corner pieces that go on the front splitter, and the clear. You've seen some of the cars have the clear, we call it the wicker, and or bridge in the rear that you can adjust. And if you put that in its maximum form at 150 miles an hour, that has about 340 pounds of downforce. So it's just incredible how far we've come from being. Most of the cars we test a lot of competitive products. In our wind tunnel, I can't speak, but it has the most downforce of any production car that we've tested. And it's really a big part of why the car is so track worthy. Does the great track times as well as keeping the tires planted. So yeah, open it up for any other questions.
What's the current option take rate of automatic versus manual transmissions?
Okay, question is, what's the take rate from the automatic versus manual? On the Stingray, with the new 8-speed, it's about 75%, about 3/4 are getting the 8-speed. On the Z06, it's a little hard for us because we started with manual only, and now we're seeing, so it's 100% manual. Now it's, we're doing almost, a lot of the pent-up demand for the auto. So it's going to be interesting to see how that happens. I still think the majority, even on the Z06, will be the 8-speed. I think when we're done. Yeah.
Yes, what is the top speed of the Z06?
What's the top speed of the Z06? It is in the 190s range.
With all the dynamics and all the technological improvements in the car, why is it slower than the C60?
Well, that's a good question. The question is why the top speed's not as impressive as you might expect. And actually, a lot of it was our focus on the downforce versus, we made a trade-off. We said, you know what, let's make the car, for most people, sacrifice the 190 plus the 200 to make the car a better track car and overall car. And so we kind of traded off some of the top end to get more downforce on the car. I mean, you could do a lower drag car and take a lot of that stuff off and get a higher top speed, but that was just a decision that we made to emphasize more the downforce on the car. Yeah.
First off, I'd like to praise both of you and the Corvette team for an outstanding 2015 Z06. Well, I wanted to ask a question. Can you give me a little bit of an idea of how you managed to get the dynamic stability to come out so much better than the ZR1 in 2013? When I took the airpin here, the cars that it just planted down, I got traction, and I'm not going to say the ZR1 was skitterish or squirrely, but this car gives me more confidence because of the dynamic stability. Can you let a little bit of information from the group to let us know how you got there?
Yeah, and thanks so much. Yeah, on the dynamic stability, I mean, we've really, this is really a big time for, the knowledge we've gained from working with things like the magnetic shocks, magnetic ride control, and the stability systems, performance traction management, which is a traction control from the track, and then having the different modes, also the electronic steering and things like that. We've really, through the hardware now, we can really have Jim Merrow, of course, everybody knows him, Alex McDonald, who works on the stability controls. Those guys have really, through a lot of testing, really perfected. And that's one of the things that we really want to do on the 7th generation car, is because even, previously we've always had a great car, a great performance car, and the parts where we used to get criticized were some of the feel of the car. If anybody was going to criticize it, they'd say, versus say a competitor, they want, it's the feel, the things that you can't measure, and that's what we're really concentrated on. It's just how the car feels on the track, how you feel when you drive it, the confidence level, and having also the different modes. We have the weather, eco, tour, sport, track, and be able to configure each mode separately for the type of driving you're doing, instead of just having to do one basic, across the board thing has really helped us tune every aspect of the car. The exhaust, the steering, the throttle, the suspension, the shift points in the engine, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's just a lot of work and being able to perfect all the controls that we have now to play with.
And to add one thing from a structures perspective too, my brothers in the chassis engineering department, they really visualize the structure as this solid, rigid thing that never moves. The structure does move a little, but this car moves a lot less than the C6. The numbers we measured for static torsional stiffness is what we call it, is about 20% stiffer on an open roof or convertible car versus the old C6 with the roof in. So we really work to improve the stiffness of the aluminum frame, which helps a lot for chassis controls.
Background, yeah.
Tell me something we don't know. When's the Grand Sport coming out?
Oh, when's the Grand Sport coming out? Yeah, there's no Grand Sport right now. I mean, we really did the Z06 now that you can get it in both coupe and convertible, manual, and the paddle automatic. We didn't feel there was a lot of need for a Grand Sport, but how many people would be interested if there was a Grand Sport? Oh, we could sell some. All right, we'll bring that back. We'll bring that back to headquarters. We'll see what happens.
Question over here.
Yeah.
I think I know what the answer is going to be, but I'll ask it anyways. Mid-engines, is that going to be part of the C7 or C8?
Well, mid-engines, I can tell you, tomorrow you're going to see 4 mid-engine Corvettes on the track, and we hope they win an overall win here at Sebring. So it's alive and well.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, you guys should be coming into the fit and finish from the C6s to the C7s, and especially in the speeds. Now, I have a new Z, and frankly, I'm hard pressed to find any orange peel on the car. So it's very difficult to get rid of orange peel, I'm sure, from a production standpoint, but the general fit and finish on the new C7s and the Z06s leaps and bounds ahead of the C6, and really a great car to drive.
Great, thank you. Appreciate the comments.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Any more like that?
If you've been to the plant, you can see the quality gates where they check and fit everything.
Nürburgring time.
Nürburgring time, yeah, that was one of the ASTAG questions. You know, and Numero answered that. Basically, we go to Nürburgring as mostly development, and when we go there, there's a lot of other manufacturers there, so you can't really do hot laps when we're doing our development. And then hopefully, like what we did with the previous generation car, you get one or two laps at max to try to do set a hot lap. And what happened this year with the energy time, with the weather, and we actually had a car. We had an incident with one car. We really didn't get a chance to do a hot lap. We kind of have a feeling where it would be, you know, we can do sector time, like some other manufacturers might publish a lap based on their sector times and add that together. But we had a policy, we said we're not going to publish any official time until we have where you can see the car going all the way around the track video. So we'll try again this year. But we're confident it would be the best Corvette we've ever done.
Right-hand drive.
Any plans for right-hand drive Corvette? As of now, no, but it is something we always look at. As Chevrolet is becoming more global, the whole world is becoming more global. We did actually, for the first time, ship some Corvettes officially to New Zealand, even though they were left-hand drive. But that is something we're going to look at in the future. But I can't give you any plan right now. Is that what you want? How many people want right-hand drive Corvette? At least one.
I don't think
Maybe
you see them.
No, he's happy with the way he is. Way back in the red.
That ain't gonna happen.
Rough track.
Oh, I think what you're talking about is the Motor Trend. Yeah, maybe we should talk about that a little bit. Yeah, there was a test in Motor Trend versus GTR And we didn't do quite as well as we'd hoped. And what we found out, it was our fault, but our car, the alignment spec was wrong on the car. It was actually 2 degrees off in the rear. And they actually have since retested that. And the other thing that we tried, we hadn't been at Willow Run very much, at that track, Willow Springs. Willow Springs. Anyway, we hadn't been at that track that much, and it's a kind of a rougher track, so we tried a subtle change in the magnetic ride program to better handle that track, and that is something we're looking at making available. It would just be a CAL that you could get as a kind of a performance software if you want it, for somebody that uses that track or very rough tracks. But the results came out, and we did obviously we did better and actually more faster ultimately than the Nissan. You got more? You got any more?
Yeah, the time was 1:25.00 with the republished the recalibration and the realignment. 1:25.00 for the 7-speed, and I think it was 1:25.76 for the 8-speed.
Yeah, because Randy Popes is their driver. He's an excellent driver, and he's also excellent at analyzing the car. And one of the things, when he said that the car, he noticed some oversteer, it's something we really hadn't seen, and he really looked at that car. And again, you know, we've been doing a lot, it was our fault, we've been doing a lot of cars prepping for, you know, we adjust the alignments when they go to different magazines, and that one was just done in error, unfortunately. Right there?
I've seen a couple of new 8-speed automatics on the track, and 2 voltage. They're putting them into a limit mode. Are you guys aware of that? Is there a fix?
Well, we actually have on the, we were talking about this before, the 8-speed paddle shift actually has a unique, its own cooling. That is why it came out later than the manual. We actually have this a really aggressive cooling system where the cooling lines actually go through from the front, through the rocker to the back. It's very elaborate and done at Bowling Green to make sure we put as much cooling as we could for that transmission. One of the things we've said is the ultimately I think we're getting quicker lap times with the 8-speed for the initial laps, but then the manual will be more consistent over a longer period of time. But in general, we haven't seen too many any catastrophic things at all. We have seen, you know, where you might set a light after very aggressive track use. So, yeah.
What's the status on the warranty changes that General Motors is putting forth on terms of drivetrain?
What's the
status? 100,000 versus 60 is the latest. 60.
Right? They did make that change. Yeah, that's across the board.
Across the board. And
so what's the
for 2016?
Yeah, it went from the questions on the warranty. You know, 2016 at 60,000 mile warranty, where we had 115. So buy a 15.
Quick.
Wasn't my idea. But yeah, they do these things. They look at stuff like that, and they thought, you know, it's a cross Chevrolet thing, and they thought competitive wise that was kind of where everybody was going. So I don't really have any other news other than that. Yeah.
216 days, production start and production ship for 2016.
Oh, for 2016? Yeah, I think we have I think we have at least one more order cycle for 2015, maybe 2 more, probably 2 more. We have the museum, National Corvette Museum Bash event. Our plan is, things go as planned, to announce a lot of stuff about what's new for 2016. And the Monday after that's over, the order guide will be sent, you know, the dealers will have that to begin ordering for 2016. So that's last weekend of April, I believe, so that will be. And then the production for the model year 2016 starts in July for production.
Can you give us any idea of any small changes or anything that you know of at this point on estimates?
No. He's asking about 6 days again at the museum. I will say, you know, this last few years have been big years for us, you know, with the Stingray and the Z06. So there's nothing on that level, but of course, you know our team, we always like to do some new things every year. You know, there's not a whole new model coming out, so there'll be some fun new options and things like that. But that's all I'll say.
I'm just curious from the standpoint of safety on the car. I don't track the car, but I do track several other Corvettes. But
lane changing stuff, blind spot warning and stuff. The car's pretty restrictive on that basis based on what's available through your regular line cars. And personally, I have a car.
So you would see, so if I understand your question, you'd like to see like lane change alerts and blind spot alerts? How many people want a lane change alert? Okay, got a few. How many people want a blind spot alert? Okay. Yeah, you know, it's been I think things are changing to your point. It's been kind of a philosophy when we've been doing Corvettes. In general, we've tried to stay away from some of that warnings and interventions and things like that. In general, thinking it's a sports car. You know, but I think the mindset is changing. People are starting to see more of these on cars, and they're wondering why we don't have them. So that may be, you know, something we'll probably have to look into more in the future. But our philosophy on this generation car was more, you know, purist. It's a sports car. You know, not try to do things to annoy the driver. But if you have things you can turn on, I can see that a lot of people are starting to appreciate the value of that. So that's something that I'll bring back that a lot of people raise their hand.
It falls in the category of the 1,800 different displays on the dash.
Yeah, it would be one of those. Yeah.
As you know, the Grand Sport was the first model to offer both a C51 type performance package and then the magnetic selective drive as an option. And I have, a friend of mine has a Grand Sport without the magnetic selective drive. I can't tell the difference in driving it even when I track it to tell you the truth. So my question to you is, if you get a C7, if you decide to go with the C51 option, how much of an advantage is it to get the magnetic selective drive?
Okay, so if I understand the question, how is the value of how much different is the magnetic ride control versus the standard passive shocks on the Corvette with the Z51? I think we've heard that in previous, like some people can tell, some people couldn't tell with the previous generations. Now that we have the different modes, we're really getting the benefit of the magnetic ride is that we have the different modes, you know, the tour, the sport, the track. We have a lot more modes now where it really does change, you know, the way the car rides and handles. So the tour, you might get a little bit more, the tour mode would be a little bit more comfortable, and then the track mode can be even more aggressive, you know, if you want. So it does have the advantage of being, and it also varies with speed and G-forces and things like that. It's very fast reacting. So it could be if you put the cars in a similar situation, you may, you know, it depends what that situation is. The passive shock does the best it can with one setting, where these shocks, it can be anything from a real soft shock to a very rigid, firm shock. So you're really, with the new electronic controls, with the different moding, you're really getting more advantage with this new generation car to be able to use that technology. Jake.
Harlan, I know you like to brag about the colors that are doing well at Corvette. How is it going this year?
Well, the colors, that's a good question, because, yeah, on the Stingray, the Arctic White is the #1 color on the Stingray right now, followed by the Torch Red, then gray, then black. But the interesting thing, we're seeing a little bit different on the Z06. The black is the #1 color, and then I think it's red, then white, then gray. But then it comes up the yellow. So you're seeing on the Z06, you know, being with that racing connection, you're seeing a lot more of the yellow on the Z06. So, but overall, and the Laguna Blue does well too. Overall, we're pretty happy with the colors that we have. They're doing pretty well, and but it's always fun to see what the top ones are.
Way in the back.
Way in the back. Is it true that we're going to eliminate yellow? No.
Good.
Everybody relax. Well, as long as I know, I mean, that's been our racing color. We're going to have a yellow.
Good.
I read this in one or two of the magazines, and I think you mentioned motor trend. We have a 650 horsepower motor, and it also has 100,000 miles. There was a suspicion that when the motor starts to get hot, that something in the software or whatever kind of kicks down the power, and then you have twice like that instance maybe why the performance was. Is there anything to that?
Well,